Hello, guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Jaguars podcast. As is tradition, Brian Mescal is next to me, and I'm Antonio Ferguelli. And before we start off talking about the Jaguars, Brian would like to share something special to everyone about what happened yesterday at the Packers-Seattle game.
So we all pretty much should know by now what happened in that game. I see this ad posting on Craigslist. It's a fake ad posting, but I thought it was hilarious. It says NFL referee needed $35,000. My name is Roger Goodell. I'm in charge of a $9.3 billion company, but not willing to take 1% of that to hire an integral member of the team. As a result, I'm coming to you, the people. Required experience, physical conditions, blind, unwavering love for the home team, must be confident with initial call and unwilling to let reliable instant replay change your stance on a call. Constant desire to disruption of fans, players, fantasy football owners. We can't rest on our laurels. Maximum industry-related experience, middle school referee, any sport but football slightly preferable. Performance-based incentives. Additional bonus awarded to those willing to overturn a partner referee's call, especially if they were closer to the play. Please do not respond directly to this posting. Simply arrive at Seattle's Quest Field tonight, 30 minutes before kickoff, and we will select 4 of you at random. I thought that was hilarious because
It is hilarious.
Definitely what happened.
It is definitely what happened because these scabs need to leave. We've talked about it enough in the other podcast, but we'll just say it simply.
Totally been on our other podcast.
We
That
should
would
have.
be amazing.
We should have. We just found it recently, but we need to get rid of these replacement referees. We need to get rid of these lingerie D3, D2 high school referees, and we need to get back Ed Hockley and the guy that does the whipping finger.
Finger pointing, which is awesome. I forgot his name. I wish I knew his name.
But welcome, guys, and we're gonna recap the Jaguars game for you. Before the last-second touchdown effort by Blaine Gabbert to Cecil Shorts, Blaine Gabbert was 10 for 20. That's 50%. 75 yards, no touchdown, no interception. Now, while that might be a good game for a very defensive-heavy team, that is a horrible game before Cecil Shorts, which I gotta say, Blaine Gabbert has been going to Cecil Shorts in the
he trusts him
in the last seconds of the Minnesota game, and now in the last seconds of the Colts game, and you just see the Colts defensive back. One of them on that play just slaps his helmet, knowing that he just gave up a huge play. He let Cecil come right in on that slant.
He trusts him.
He does trust him. And it's good because they were both rookies together, and now that they're both producing together, which is good. And for any of you who play Madden, he'll definitely go up like a point or two. Yeah. But besides that play, Gabbert really didn't have that great of a game. And you can blame the pass. You can blame any of his passes. You can blame the receivers. You can blame the offensive line. But it's weird. Gabbert's just not clicking as much as he was against Minnesota. And I think Minnesota's a tougher defense than the Colts have.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think it's just a bad game for Gabbert all around. I mean
there's been a couple.
Were lucky to pull it off.
There were a couple of drops. Even Blackman had a drop on a slant. And
yeah, no,
he just
absolutely.
dropped it.
I mean, I don't think the chemistry is quite there yet between him and his receivers, but it's getting there. I mean, they got lucky and pulled out the win. I mean, they did play well enough to get the win, but at the same time,
it was last-second heroics.
Great last-second heroics, absolutely. As soon as the Colts kicked the field goal, honestly, I thought it was over.
Did you see how Vinatieri iced himself?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
34 yards. He went up for the field goal.
Yeah,
and the announcer, and you know what? I gotta give it to it was a delayed game, and I gotta give it to the Colts. And I really like the Colts announcers because they're not biased. No, they're very articulate. They're not biased by any means. And what they were saying was, they're like, man, the Colts jogging out there pretty slow. And all of a sudden, Vinatieri's lining up. You see them highlight the clock, 5 seconds, 4 seconds. He puts his hand out, starts backing up, and he has this little smile of like, oh my God, I can't believe I just got to delay a game. 39-yard field goal, whiffs it wide left. And even his last field goal almost went wide left, but he just got it.
When did he whiff that field goal at the end of the game?
No, the whiff to field goal was in the first half.
Oh, that's when he kicked it? That's when he iced himself?
He iced himself in the first half, yes.
It's kind of funny.
It was hilarious. And he even had this look on his face like, oh my God, I just iced myself. I can't believe that just happened.
And then he missed it on the next one?
And he missed it on the first one. Well, he didn't kick it the first time because he iced himself, and then the second time he kicked it and he whiffed. It's kind of the complete opposite of what happened in the Jets game.
Yeah, they call timeout right before the kick, so he kicks it and they block it, and then the next they make it.
That's hilarious. That's just gotta be the horrible feeling.
The Cowboys, Garrett iced his own team.
Yeah, we know now not to ice your own kicker.
Yeah,
but
the guy missed it. He called time. This guy made it. He called timeout, and then they missed it on the next turn.
That's hysterical.
Boy, these coaches.
But you know what? I was glad to see that Jones-Drew is finally he's back on pace. 177 yards. He had a game. Jones-Drew was slicing up that Colts defense. And it was funny to see that during the game they were like, oh, Jones-Drew's career rushing yards against the Colts was 169, and he broke that.
Yeah. That was his career record?
Against the Colts, 169, and now today he broke it. What's the most
rushing yards he's ever had?
In a game? I'm guessing it was back when he played Tennessee. Do you remember when that announcer said running away from the cops?
Top speed?
I believe he had 200 rushing yards that game because everyone's attention was on Chris Johnson because no one knew anyone else on the Titans at that point. But Jones-Drew had almost as many yards and on less carries.
Jones-Drew definitely seems like he's back.
I mean, he's a little grizzled, but I don't blame that at all.
I didn't think he was going to be back like that. But
well, you know what? It's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks. Like Polian had said early in the season, Polian had said that he's going to need about 3 weeks to get back into football shape. He's going to need that natural body armor to build up to contact, and it's been 3 weeks, and look what happens. 177 yards.
He's looking great, honestly. He really, really is. So, I said it in the past, I didn't think he was going to do that well, but you know what? I will eat those words. He's doing really well, and congratulations to him.
But what I think is a problem now is that Lauren Robinson got hurt really early in the first quarter, which is a problem on twofolds. One, because he is injured, and that hurts the team because he was Gabbert's leading receiver, and it also it's also detrimental to those who are fantasy owners, which we'll talk about fantasy later on. But losing Laurent Robinson is kind of a big blow because now who do you fill into that second slot? Do you fill in Mike Thomas, who has failed as a number 1-2 receiver but good in the slot? Do you put in Cecil Shorts, who's also a Mike Thomas kind of player?
Slot.
Or do you do what the Jaguars did and put in Kevin Elliott, who is 6'3", 215 pounds.
Give him a shot like the Giants gave
undrafted rookie.
Yeah, I'd give him a shot.
Guy got about 5 looks. 2 of them were just out of reach. One of them was in the end zone. He kind of misplayed it. He kind of jumped a bit early for the pass, and it kind of went behind him. But it was a great throw by Gabbert. It was a perfect throw right over the defender's head. But he got 2 receptions at the end of the game, which was okay. He's not really had too much practice, especially with the ones. But I think Kevin Elliott going forward could probably produce.
Could be good.
Yeah, I mean 6'3", 215 pounds. There's a lot to love.
Yeah. Now what happened with Lauren Robinson? I saw he got hurt.
Head injury. It was a head injury in literally the first 5 minutes of the game.
Concussion?
Yeah. It was a concussion. I mean, usually with concussion players, they usually used to go back right away on the field, but now that we're taking into account more of head and brain injuries, he's probably looking at another week of probably being on the sideline, or maybe 2, like Eugene Monroe was in the beginning of the season. He had to he was precautionary in the beginning of the season, just because you don't want to end a guy's career on something that was, fixable, something that was like, oh, hey, we'll take a week off and we'll go back. I mean, the Jaguars are still rebuilding. It's their 3rd, 4th year, but honestly, the Jaguars are rebuilding. I'm looking for an 8-8 season now. I was high on a 9-7, but by the way they're playing, it looks like more like a 7-9, 6-10 season.
Yeah, I agree.
Just being realistic. I mean, I love my team, but it doesn't look like they'll go 500 at all this season.
So far, I've been right on all the calls when they beat. Said they would lose to Minnesota, lose to Houston, and beat Indy. So
yeah, that's true.
Are they playing this week?
This week they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals.
Not bad.
What do you think? 50-50 shot? I mean, Andy Dalton's bounced back pretty well, especially their offense.
I think the Jaguars definitely have a shot. I personally think that they're going to lose in a close one. Most of their games have been really close. But I think it could come down to a touchdown by Andy Dalton at the end or something like that. I personally think they're going to lose, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a good game. I just think Cincinnati's offense is
It's very explosive, and it doesn't seem like
has the potential to be very good. But the Jaguars' defense is really good. But I don't see the Jaguars' offense being. And I mean, Cincy's D isn't as great, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to go up against the defense right now.
Now, if they're gonna have to win, they're gonna have to put the game on Jones-Drew's shoulders again.
No, absolutely. It's gonna have to come down to Jones-Drew because Cincy does have a pretty decent pass rush.
Does have a pretty decent pass rush. I mean, they got the linebackers are okay, but Jones-Drew is the best player in the Jags, and honestly, Gabbert has almost won 2 games. He's won 1 game in the last second heroics. I still don't know how the Jaguars defense still allowed that many yards, so that Walsh could kick that last second field goal in Minnesota. But he won. In my eyes, I would give him a game and a half. Because he did everything that he possibly could to win those games. Houston was just a blowout.
Well, you kind of knew that.
Oh, no. Yeah. Houston's defense is ridiculous. And I think, like you said before, Houston's probably going to go to the Super Bowl, or at least deep into the playoffs. And I think Atlanta. I think so. I think Atlanta's team is really hot right now. And I think that's what the Jaguars are striving to be. They don't have those 2 number 1 receivers. I mean, Blackman definitely could be, but I mean, during the game, like I saw, he got 1 pass on a short route, then he dropped 1 on a slant route, and then Gabbert overthrew him on a streak route. And I get it. The NFL replacement referees are there, so everyone's trying to get away with a little bit more aggression. But after the dropped slant route, believe it was during the middle of the second quarter, Blackman just literally almost headbutts another player, and nothing was called. And the Colts officials were like, "Wow, that's a little bit too much." And I thought so too. I mean, I support my team 100%, but there's no need for that. There's no need for over aggression.
Yeah.
And headbutting another player helmet to helmet, that's not what you want to do.
It's a little childish.
It is. And I mean, I get it. Like, he's a rookie, whatever, he's going to make mistakes. But that's not needed. And a lot of players have been doing that.
Trying to see what they can get away with.
And another play that happened was a Colts D tackle. He actually went off sides and sacked Gabbert pretty quick. He went through undrafted rookie Mike Brewster, who's the left guard, who played center at the Ohio State.
The Ohio State University.
But he jumped off sides. He got through the line, of course, sacked Gabbert. And not only that, but he almost kept hitting him, almost like he was humping him on the ground. And Brewster just jumped right on top of him because as an offensive lineman, your job is to protect your quarterback to any means necessary. And they called Brewster for it, so the penalty's canceled out. It was just ridiculous. It was kind of like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
And it's a little strange. It's like, okay, Brewster was he was doing his job. He had to protect his quarterback because this guy is just all over him, and he jumped off sides. So the call was a little, replacement referees.
Yeah. It's a little ridiculous.
But, yeah. I mean, the offensive line is still a patchwork. We still got 2 players, Herb Taylor and Brewster playing left guard. We got Guy Wimper, who I hope they just get rid of. He's he is my Wayne Hunter. I gotta give it to him though.
For your birthday, I'm gonna get you a.
I gotta give it to Guy Wimper though.
Jersey.
For as much as I talk about him, Guy Wimper actually recovered 2 fumbles. One that he actually let up because he let up a sack from Mathis, which I'm like, okay, at least he got the ball back. And then the other one, I believe it was from the left-hand side, and Gabbert got the ball out of his hands, and Guy Wimper just fell on it. Newinari actually looked at Wimper like, "What are you doing?"
I'm definitely going to get you a Guy Wimper signed football and a Guy Wimper jersey.
Guy Wimper. Yeah, what is he signing? The sack force fumble that he caused.
It's going to be fun.
That ball.
It's going to be awesome, man.
I don't like him, but at least he made those 2 plays. I mean, he let up. He made a mistake, but he recovered the ball, and then the other one was a recovery from somebody else's mistake. Which is, I'm like, okay, Guy Wimper is not he could beat the crap out of me any day. But as I gotta say, he has not been the greatest lineman for the Jags. I don't know why they don't get someone else. They don't get someone else from free agency or something. Because I think they would be a much better fit. Yeah, by the way, Guy Wimper's been playing. So they're playing Cincy this weekend. Who would you think is gonna win this game? You said it's gonna be a close game, but how close? Field goal, point, 2 points,
a touchdown.
You think a touchdown?
Yeah, I think a touchdown. I think it's gonna be close. I mean, Jaguars could definitely come out and win this game. Absolutely. They have the talent enough to win since he isn't that great. They definitely could come out and win this game. Absolutely, hands down, they can. But I think it'll be a touchdown by Andy Dalton in the last 2-3 minutes of the game. And I just don't think the Jaguars are going to be able to come back from that. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I've been right the first 3 times this season so far. So we'll see. We'll see about it again. But I think it will be. I don't know. I thought the first game was going to be close. I was right by a field goal. Thought Houston would blow them out. Right about that. I thought the last game was going to be really close, and I was right about that. And now I believe this one's going to be close, but it's going to come down to like it might be anywhere. It's going to be 10 or less points.
Well, here's a fun fact. Darryl Smith, who is the best Jaguars defender, he's going to play next week, and he's going to take over for Kyle Bosworth, who
I was going to say not Russell Allen.
Nah,
he's so good.
All right.
My MVP.
Well, Paul Kursky of the AFC South blog actually said something very intelligent the other day. Well, he says that he has a lot of great points, but this was a really good fact that I was like, wow, I didn't even think about it that way. Kyle Bosworth and Russell Allen. Russell Allen is the 4th linebacker on the depth chart, and Kyle Bosworth is the 5th. Clint Session is currently out with post-concussion symptoms, so they're leaving him out. He got as many concussions as Javad Best last season.
Oh, nice.
So Russell Allen shot up to the 3rd, and Russell Allen shot up to the 2nd, and Bosworth shot up to the 3rd. And he's like, as they're great as 4 and 5s, but there's a huge gap when they become the 2 and 3. And Russell Allen has been pretty good. He's been leading in tackles. He's been getting to the ball. He made a stupid penalty on Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck ran out of bounds, and he pushed him out of bounds when he was already out. So it was kind of just a late second hit, as it was called, which was, it's going to happen. Those mistakes can happen to any linebacker. But having Darryl Smith back on that right-handed side of the offense, which is the left-handed side of the defense, is going to be huge. And I think they're really going to show up as a great defense that they were last year. The drop-off, I don't believe, is that great between Session and Allen, considering Allen has gotten 9 tackles and 2 assists this past weekend. And he's been doing great before then. But I think it'll be within a field goal. I think it could go either way, to be honest, with a field goal, though. All right? Fair enough? All right. And let's jump down to fantasy now. Isn't it funny how Blaine Gabbert has almost as many points as Aaron Rodgers right now?
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers has been going against, he went against Seattle's D, which is very underrated.
Seattle, they went against the Bears or no?
Bears, they went against, and the 49ers.
Very tough defense.
So, you look
but hey,
at
you're a top 2 quarterback, top 3 quarterback. You should be winning those games.
There's really nothing you could do when your receivers aren't getting open to those defenses.
That's true. I mean, for one game he didn't have Jennings
against Seattle.
Oh,
the Bears secondary was really good, and the 49ers speak for themselves. So honestly, he's playing New Orleans this week. So
I guess they're just showing that the Packers aren't the Packers that they were last year. They're a bit more mortal than they were.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Jennings not being in one game hurt, but I think the Packers. I think the Packers will still be a contender for the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't feel like their team is for right now hasn't been clicking on all cylinders.
But it's still week 3. But I think by week 7, if they're still doing this, well, then they got a problem.
Yeah. I mean, they're in a tough division, too. They got the Vikings, the Bears, and the Lions, correct? I mean, all 3 of those teams have very key offensive weapons. Yeah. Not all their defenses are going to be great, but they're still all a threat.
They played Chicago once, but I can't wait for them to play Detroit and Minnesota because their pass defenses are suspect.
Right, they're suspect, but what do you call it? The Vikings have Adrian Peterson, who is always a threat to go 200 yards in a game.
Green Bay's D is good.
Green Bay's D
is very good.
Green Bay's D is the same as last year. They let up a lot of yards, but they get a lot of turnovers. And I don't think...
They didn't really let up that many yards yesterday.
They didn't let up that many yards. But I feel like, as last year, as I pointed out.
Well, there's 2 Hail Mary passes.
Well, there's 2 Hail Mary passes.
Okay.
But I feel like having Woodson in the back is still great because he is a very charismatic leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
He forces a lot of fumbles for a corner. And now playing safety, I don't know. I mean, I guess I like the fact that... Right, we're rambling on a little bit. We'll just finish it off with this. Packers defense, has been a little suspect, but I think they're still a great start for fantasy. Anyway, like we were trying to say for the Jaguars fantasy, Laurent Robinson is out with a concussion. He's probably going to be out this week. Mike Thomas, Cecil Shorts, Kevin Elliott, one of those guys is going to have to pick up the slack.
I'd pick up Cecil Shorts off the waiver wire. If they're in
as a
league.
third, or
if you're in a deep league and if you're in a 12, 14 team league, you need a receiver. The receivers are hurt, or you need someone to just fill in there. I'd take a look at Cecil Shorts.
Okay.
I mean, if like other options like Avery off the board and stuff like that.
I would wait until Saturday because who knows? Kevin Elliott could start at the 2. Mike Thomas or Cecil Shorts
getting some good yards.
I feel like this is. I mean, the Jaguars' defense is going to be improved, so I feel like Gabbert maybe have another 2-3 times to touch the ball, a couple of snaps to touch the ball, which would be great. I think Darryl Smith is that great to the team. But I don't know. I mean, Jones-Drew is obviously going to be on whoever drafted him in the first 2 rounds. Of course. I mean, for the Jaguars, of course. But if you have, like you said, a third or a flex spot for wide receiver, you might want to look at those guys. Saturday, check them out. Check them out at the training camp. See how practice is going. See who's going to be the number 2, number 3. Look at the depth chart. I mean, Blackman, he's been disappearing. But a lot of people have also been dropping Blackman because of his lack of production. So look and see if Blackman's there. And you know what? He's a great start later on in the season when he gets more practice in him and learning the routes. Mike Thomas has been pretty good, as well as Cecil Shorts with his late second heroics. But if you don't want a heart attack, I don't know if I would go with Cecil. But just see if you have a third receiver on your team. Check out the camp and see what they go for. Gabbert is still a plug-in player. I mean, there's going to be there's 16 other quarterbacks you can take ahead of Gabbert.
He's not doing bad.
He's not doing terrible. He's not turning the ball over, but he's also not getting the yardage. I mean, he's not the quarterback that he still needs to be at the moment.
Well, that's what you got to put that on the receivers too.
Of course, it's the team. It's not just. I mean, Gabbert has his own.
It's the turnovers you want to make sure he's not having.
And he's not. He's 4-0.
And so he hasn't even thrown an interception.
No interception.
See, so that's where you got to look at it where he
throws the ball. He throws the ball only to receivers that get up. He's having apologize. He's having a year like Garrard was having back in 2007,
so he's not
2008.
Taking unnecessary risks.
He's not. Remember Garrard that year went 18-3, and 2 of those interceptions were to the Steelers.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, it was during the late minute of the season.
And they won in the playoffs.
Gabbert has not been turning over the ball, which is probably one of the most impressive stat lines for a second-year quarterback, as well as for last year. Last year, he turned the ball over a lot. But for right now, he hasn't been turning the ball over. He's only 50% on his passing, which, good quarterbacks are around the 60 range.
He's already got some receivers dropping balls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he's obviously there. He's improved a lot with Brad Bartowski and Jerry Sullivan, the quarterback coach, as well as the wide receiver coach. But they just need to stop dropping so many balls. It's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous because third downs weren't being converted. The Colts made a living on third down. First and second down, they were stuffed. Third down, they made the play. Literally, I think they converted 3/4 of their first down. I think it was like 66%. And in the last few minutes, we're just going to talk about our more starts of the weeks besides the Jaguars. Who would you start outside of the Jaguars? I already said Cincinnati Bengals in the other podcast. I would start any of their wide receivers like Hawkins or Binns. What are you thinking?
I know Aaron Rodgers hasn't been doing very well, but I'm going to go with him. And I know that's an easy one to go with.
Outside of the top 20 picks.
So. No, okay. So outside the top 20, I said before, Pierre Garçon. Pierre Garçon. I like Pierre Garçon this week. If he comes back healthy, I like him. He had a big week in the first week. Was hurt after the first quarter. Hasn't played the last 2 games. And if he can come back, and hopefully he didn't lose the chemistry with RG3, but if he can come back and produce, he's a solid.
Well,
solid
RG3
target.
in most formats is the top quarterback right now. Matt Ryan being 2. And they're complete opposite types of quarterbacks. One's a scrambler, one's a pocket passer.
Well, that's why RG3 is 1, because he gets the points off running.
Right. And, I mean, in our league, it's only 8 points more than Matt Ryan has. I think he has like an 80 even, if that. And then Matt Ryan has a little bit over 72 because of bonus points and performances like passing yards and whatnot. But I mean, those two are the top two quarterbacks, and it's crazy. I mean, I saw Matt Ryan being a top 5 quarterback. I didn't think he'd be number 2 right now by week 4. And guys, that's all the time we got today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week. Thanks.